Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, we have with us Gessie Schechinger.
Gessie Schechinger is the laziest salesman in America, as well as Vice President of Sales for the OnCourse Sales Engagement Platform. Gessie is passionate about leveraging technology and automation to surpass revenue targets so he can help protect golf and bar time for the salespeople of the world. Gessie won annual sales awards at 2 different Fortune 500 companies. His 20-plus years of sales experience began in an outbound call center where he averaged 450 calls per week and blew out his quota by 297%. Unsurprisingly, he moved to field sales where he traveled 300 days a year, convincing the biggest companies in the United States to open their wallet. He now spends his time educating sales leaders to utilize the most effective sales tool in the world and co-hosts the mediocre podcast TechTales. So plug in your earphones, turn up your volume, and let's dive in and have a fantastic conversation with Gessie.
Okay, so Gessie is going to share with us a little bit about himself and tell us a little bit about his journey. So before we actually start to get into the meat of our questions, Gessie, I want you to share with us a little bit about your journey. I know that your journey has been in sales and you've been doing field sales and you started out in the call center and all of these amazing things. But could you just share with us a little bit about how you got into sales in the first place? Is it something that you realized you were born for, or were you just thrown into that initially when you started your career?
Yeah, so Yannick, it's really interesting in the sense that what really drove everything for me was this constant yearning to try to cut corners, which typically isn't great. But when I was a kid, I lived down the street from a golf course, and I would go find golf balls, and then I would sit at this hole that had a big lake on it, and I would sell my quote-unquote experienced golf balls to the golfers that were coming by. And as soon as I started making money doing that, I was like, ooh, this seems pretty unique. And then as things progressed in my career, I had kind of just a natural, I don't know, I just didn't love listening to bosses. I wouldn't say I was crazy rebellious, but I still was just like, I just hated people telling me what to do. And so I was really just looking for like, okay, so how can I not be told what to do and still, pay my bills? So how am I going to figure this out? And sales seemed like one of those things where is like they give you, like you're up against a number. Like they give you a number that you have to hit, and then you go out and you hit that number. And as long as you hit that number, then you're going to be good. Mm-hmm. And, it's like the one hand you have, you don't want to have to, you want some independence and stuff. But the one thing you do learn very quickly on is that you will always have a boss, and that boss is the customer. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be the ones that really dictate your level of success or not. And so throughout the, being able to kind of cater to customers and keep people generally happy has kind of saved me, and given me some independence as my career went on.
Amazing. So sales is where the game's at. And you're right. As a salesperson, you are pretty much your own boss, because at the end of the day, as you said, you had a target. And once you met that target or exceeded it, then you were, leveled up and given a new target. So to some extent, you managed your own schedule. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So you are the Chief Revenue Officer at OnCourse Sales Engagement Platform. Brilliant platform. Could you tell us a little bit about that platform and what it really does for an organization, and what types of companies can use this type of platform?
Yeah. So OnCourse is a sales engagement platform, and it's really, it's a CRM, but it's a CRM with a couple added functionalities baked into it. So we were at ZibTech, which is the company that owns OnCourse. As it started, it was not a very large company, very much a small business. And we were paying for Salesforce. We were paying for Outreach.io. We had, tons of these independent tools. And one, the spending was just getting kind of crazy because everyone's adding users and there's a cost and everything just got kind of out of hand. And they also didn't really talk very well to each other. And so we wanted to create a platform that gave you all the basic functionality you would need to really take advantage of automation in sales without having to sign up for several different companies. And so where we are really strong is everywhere from entrepreneurs to businesses that are doing, that 20, 30 million in revenue, or maybe have like 10-man teams or less. Our tool is very good because it gives you a lot of flexibility. And so inside that tool, you're going to have the CRM functions. So that's your client record information, that's your opportunity management, pipeline management. And then the tool has a dialer software in it. So you have your phone system. It can do SMS text messaging. It will also do LinkedIn automation. So if you're selling via LinkedIn, we have a lot of great automation around how you can get that LinkedIn outreach going very effectively, as well as doing bulk email, kind of that MailChimp constant contact type functionality.
Wow. So it's extremely robust, and it definitely can serve a great purpose for anybody who is trying to level up their sales game. Could you share with us maybe 1 to 3 things that you think a salesperson needs to be successful, especially in this space that we're in currently globally? I mean, sales is definitely changing, but how do you see the really successful salespeople being able to maneuver through this time?
Oh, I'm sorry, Yannick. Are you saying that there's something crazy happening right now, like a global pandemic? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, very much so.
Well, the funniest thing is in sales, and especially my team, right? So I am having the exact same challenges that everybody else is in, right? And so we have like the traditional channels, which are face-to-face meetings, phone, and email. And those 3 channels have been worked. But then all of a sudden you start feeling like, okay, well, I'm getting a lot of noise in, email, and I need to find, like, we're always like, what's going to be that new channel? Like, what are things going to help? Now, LinkedIn is really good because, where your email outreach, I mean, I don't know about you, Yannick, but I get all these emails every morning. I wake up and there's a part of me that just gets happy deleting them all. I have this big number and I can delete all my easy ones first. And it just makes me kind of happy. It makes me feel productive. And so you're hoping that your sales outreach doesn't become one of those emails. And so, I'd say like the first thing is really trying to focus in. I think what a lot of people get caught up on is that they think they need to be good at every single channel. And that's not necessarily true. I will always believe that the phone will win. I think that the phone is the only way that you actually close business. And so the phone is something that you always have to have an outreach or something going when it comes to cold calling in your phone, what I'll call your phone game. Your phone game's got to be good. But then you just need to pick one other channel and be really good at it. Now, as per your point, we don't really have that face-to-face option. We don't really have the trade shows. Like all of that stuff is done. And what I would say is, figure out how you can stand out above the noise and, get that LinkedIn game. And I think the good news about LinkedIn is that you actually know that you're reaching the person that you're looking for. And the funny thing is that over the course of my career, Yannick, I have been hung up on. I've been cussed at. I have, I've had people send horrendous emails back to me. Very, very rude, as I think anybody in customer service. We've all been there, right?
Yep.
Something about LinkedIn, Yannick, it makes people polite. I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's because you're like 2 clicks from their boss, and like he's in the same network. I'm not really sure how exactly it works, but everyone's super polite on LinkedIn. It's always like, oh, no, thank you. Oh, appreciate you reaching out. And so that has been very, very good for us. We've kind of doubled down our efforts there, and that's really helped. And the problem is that, I kind of think of sales, and a lot of people do, is like fishing, right? And so, you find like this new little spot of the lake that you think's got a lot of fish in it. And so you go, and that's LinkedIn. And so you're kind of coming in, but now all of a sudden we see like lots of other boats showing up. So now tons of people are selling at LinkedIn. It's like, oh boy, it's starting to get noisy. And one of the things that our that our company pivoted to in our sales outreach was, first of all, if you're a person out there listening, don't ever just write somebody a 3 to 4 paragraph message. Nobody's going to read it, and they just know that you're trying to sell them something right away. And then you have like everybody, like all of a sudden, Unique, everybody's like concerned with my business and wants to learn how things are. I'm like, I kind of don't think you are concerned. I think you're trying to sell me something you want to start. And so I think that you need to be very authentic. And then what we ended up doing was we ended up starting doing embedded video in our LinkedIn, because you might have something to say and it might be a complex value proposition. There might be a product or a service that you're representing that does take some explanation in order to convey those thoughts. And I just know me. I'm like one of the worst people ever. Like I only read like the news headlines, like only the bold, like even in college, it was just the bold words. Like I'm only reading bold words. So
you're a speed reader.
Yeah. It's like, it's gotta be super interesting for me to get in the details. So what I found was but almost everybody will watch a video. So if you can give it to them in like a really get your message under 2 minutes, put it in a video, put it LinkedIn, and you're going to stand out way past everybody else. And that's going to really help you cut through a lot of the noise that we're experiencing today.
I agree with you. I was actually, when you spoke about video a while ago, I was thinking to myself, I hope he says the video is going to be short, because typically if I look on it and I tap and I see 9 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm like, whoa, that's just too long.
Who's got that kind of time?
Exactly. So 2 minutes is good. And whatever you're going to say, if you can capture it in 2 minutes and capture the attention of the person, then you definitely have a winning tool right there. All right. So you said video helps to cut through the noise, and we have to definitely take a different approach as it relates to sales, and we have to try and be more authentic. I like the fact that you mentioned that we should be sending 3-4 paragraphs to somebody who we don't know on LinkedIn. And as we know, LinkedIn has the first connection, second connection, and third. Some of the connections, if they're not connected to somebody you know, sending a note is definitely a good thing, a good place to start. But as you said, I think maybe one really powerful statement is good enough. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you want to just have one little statement. And I also think that you got to make sure like it's personal. So if you here's the thing, you can send out a message to somebody and, say like, I'm trying to expand my network, love to have you connect. And it's like, awesome. Let me help you sell to more people, which, is fine. But if you can, lead with, hey, saw that we have Bill Smith in common, love to get to know you as well. Are you familiar with Bill? Do you know Bill? Whatever. It's just much more organic and natural. Because if I did see, Yannick, if you and I were at a conference and Bill knew you, I wouldn't just come up and say, hi, Yannick, I'm trying to expand my network. You want to be friends? I'm never going to do that. That's a weird thing to do.
Yes.
So I'm definitely going to come up to you and say like, hey, Bill told me about you. You got an awesome podcast. I'd really like to talk to you about it. Like, that's a much more organic way of cultivating relationships. And I think if more people just thought about like, listen, if you are in a bar and you had to approach somebody, lead with that line. Don't lead with this, I'm expanding my network. Or like if somebody came up to me off the street and said, hey, I'm very worried about your business and think I can help. Like, well, what are you worried about? Is there a problem? I didn't know that I had a problem. You're telling me I have a problem? Oh my goodness. Like tell me about it. It doesn't, it's got to be real, I guess is my point.
Yes. You almost sound like you're starting off on a negative note. Like the person is going through a hurricane and they're not even aware that a hurricane is happening.
Exactly.
Brilliant. All right. So, Gessie, can you share with us how you think the future of sales is going to look? When we come out of this pandemic, do you think things will change much in terms of how we sell to each other? Or do you think we're going to return back to that face-to-face experience?
I think the robots are going to take over everything.
Oh God, no.
I think what's going to happen. And when I say that, I'm just kind of being funny. But the interesting thing, and again, take it for what it's worth. I'm a software guy. I'm into all this kind of stuff. But what, I see is there's some really cool stuff about pipeline management, sentiment analysis. And so sentiment analysis, basically, people these days use the term AI, artificial intelligence, pretty fast and loose. Really what we're talking about is robust algorithms that weight certain pieces of data heavier than others. And as they see success, it just learns, to focus on and weight on those things differently. And so one of those things we're going to start seeing in sales tools is, because you'll have a tool like OnCourse, for example, shameless plug, unique. So you'll have a tool that's going to capture all of your interactions. So it's going to see that you had these meetings with them. Then it's going to see the notes of how you responded to those, of your summaries of those meetings. It's going to see how many calls that you made with them. It's going to see how many emails it took before it goes. And then anyone who's ever used a CRM tool knows that, like, when you get an opportunity, you have like a percentage of close. You're like, I'm 80% confident that this deal is going to win. Well, we're going to stop doing that, and the computer's going to start telling us, like, hey, this guy's 70% of the way there. You need to focus on him. And we're going to start being able to collectively look at what we're doing and use it as a guide. And that guide's going to be like, okay, this is what has been working for this type of customer. And, I don't want to get crazy, because there's nothing that's ever going to be better than the personal connection of a sales. Like, there's a couple things that happen when you talk to a salesperson. And, one is, the first thing is, can I trust this guy? You got to be trustworthy, and you got to be relatively friendly. It's like, can I trust this guy? And do I want to talk to him for the next year of this business? Right. And so there's going to be, a lot of credibility about your reputation and how you hold yourself. And all of that is extremely important. But we can use it as an assist to that, to be like, okay, well, hey, there's a certain amount of work that I'm going to do on every single prospect in order to get them to a place that they're going to buy. And the challenging thing for salespeople right now is, so I come from a whole family. We're just all people who just talk and sell stuff all day. So my father was a sales rep entrepreneur. His father was a sales rep for DuPont back in the day. And so, when I tell them that computers might be taking over sales, they're like, how dare you? Like, you don't know what it was like. He's like, because when my father and grandfather sold, most consumers were getting their information from the sales rep. They didn't really know about this stuff. Now, I got customers telling me about new competitors I have, right? And so the buyers are extremely smart. And so we have to kind of pivot our game to make sure that it's like, okay, well, they're smarter than ever before. They're getting way farther into the buying process than ever before by the time we're interacting with them. And so being able to track and just know some of the necessary things, the boxes we're going to have to check in order to get this person to actually buy, is going to be critically helpful. I think technology is going to help a lot with that. Gotcha.
I agree. The average consumer now is way more informed than they were before. And traditional marketing, at least for me personally, I don't think is as effective as word of mouth, like hearing feedback from somebody who had the experience and it was really good for them. I'm more likely to consider buying from that company or that person if somebody I trust and somebody I know and somebody I value their opinion gives me feedback on their experience versus an ad that I saw on TV or some YouTube thing that popped up while I was watching a video. Because at the end of the day, I just find that it's annoying.
Well, first of all, it's certainly annoying. But secondly, we have a rule around here, and that is, if 30% of our leads are not coming from referrals, then we have a service and quality problem. So that's what we kind of use as our measuring stick to make sure quality and service is good. Because to your point, you have to be having people refer your service and business to people. And if you're not seeing at least 30% of that, new inbound leads coming from them, then there's work to do. There's improvement to be had there.
Yeah, very, very good. That's an excellent indicator. Okay, Gessie, could you share with us, among all of this sales talk, how is it that you manage to stay motivated every day?
Oh, I don't even know if I am unique.
Right, because your title says you're the laziest salesman in America.
We got a pandemic. I mean, here's the thing. I wasn't even doing a great job going to the gym when the gym was open.
No.
And now they closed them, and they're starting to get back, and things aren't even going great there now either. So, but no, I think in all seriousness, it is one of those things where you have to be doing something that you can see yourself gaining ground. So the fun thing for us in software is when you launch a new product, and I think this goes for any service, right? So you start your service and then you realize you have all of these problems with your service that you didn't even know about, but you have all this stuff to solve, and then you just kind of start solving for them. And then it starts getting a little bit better, and then that part gets a little bit better, and then big oopsie, yikes, we'll fix that, and then we fix that, and then that gets a little bit better. And seeing that progress and being able to just see how things are coming along, that's probably like the most exciting thing that kind of gets you going in the morning. That and fairly highly caffeinated coffee are probably the two things that I use.
All right. Okay, so share with us what's one online resource, tool, website, or app that you absolutely cannot live without in your business.
What do you think I'm going to say, Unique?
I think you're going to tell us that it's your company, it's your platform, OnCourse Sales Engagement. You can't live without it.
Absolutely. All right. So in the spirit of being generous, I would say, though, that yes, OnCourse Sales Engagement Platform is necessary to all of your businesses, and you should sign up right away. But outside of that, I actually love Calendly. Calendly is very effective. And it just cuts through a lot of the stuff when it comes to scheduling meeting and stuff. So that's a really cool thing to have. But then again, I think it is important to have all your communication tools in one place, and that's why we created the tool. So those are probably the two.
Yeah. I use Calendly as well. When I started this podcast, 4 years ago, I can't believe it's been all that time. And it really makes it easier for scheduling, especially for people who are in different time zones across the world. So, it syncs their calendars, to the time and date and everything, and then it syncs mine, and it's just brilliant, and it just works really, really wonderful. The automation makes your life so much easier with that one little link that you send to them, and they choose their time and date.
Yes, and you've only had one guest that has screwed that up for you, which is me, so that's great.
Well, Gessie, in all fairness, that's why we have a backup plan, right? Remember, as you said before, the human touch is very critical. So we recognize that, sometimes technology can fail us because, nothing in life is perfect. And that's why we ask for your email address and your phone number. So God forbid you didn't get the email. We can give you a call or send you an email to say, hey, Gessie, are we still going to have that podcast? And it worked, right?
Hey, we're on right now. So
exactly.
Yes.
Okay, could you share maybe one or two books that have had the biggest impact on you? Maybe a book that you read a long time ago, or a book that you've read recently that's really had a great impact on you?
Yeah, so, I'm not going to say, Unique, that I'm the biggest reader on earth. I tend to start lots of books. Finishing them is a different challenge altogether. But one of the ones that I actually had to, because I took a business class in college and they made us read it, but it ended up being like really practical advice, was the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yes, by Stephen Covey.
Yeah, and so we actually had to do that and by chapter level. And then, I don't know, maybe it was like osmosis, but some of it just kind of got grained in my system. And so especially like one of the fundamental things, and this is something that has served me really well throughout my entire career. It's such a little tiny thing, but it says if the task is less than 2 minutes, just do it right away. And that, just taking that is like, if it's more than that, plan it. But if it's, because time management for me has always just been a disaster, because I try to schedule things and then like I have great hopes and desires of the schedule I'm going to keep, and then like 3 things happen and the entire thing falls apart. And so it was a constant struggle for me to figure out like, okay, like I can plan a schedule like a champion. Living to a schedule is a whole other burden. And his approach to just, if you have something instantly, get it taken care of, it's going to take less than 2 minutes. More than that, plan it, then you'll have these windows of times you can do things, made me much more productive than I probably would have been without that advice.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so we'll have the link to that book in the show notes of this episode. Definitely a book that I think you should get a physical copy of. I actually have a copy myself here. So it's a really, really a good book.
You gotta get the highlighter out for that one.
Yeah, for sure. All right. What's one thing that's going on in your life right now, Gessie, that you're really excited about? Either something that you're working on to develop yourself or your people?
We are working on a brand new social media management tool that's really cool. Basically allows you to just kind of look for articles and then it'll post amongst all of your social media. It's not coming out for a while, so probably like the next 2 months or so, but that's something really fun that we're working on that I'm pretty excited about, just because, again, and all roads go to laziness, Yannick. It's like I can't be just focusing on every single social media. I need one place and then just let it take care of the rest, right?
Yes.
That, and then, we do have a pretty robust product roadmap at OnCourse. And so in addition to the functionality, like we're baking in, like I told you, that sentiment analysis type stuff, branching and sequencing, and a lot more that we're doing around the automation that I think is going to be pretty cool. And we're taking a couple of, I would say, not very traditional views about gauging productivity in sales. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
All right. Okay, Gessie. So our listeners listen to this podcast. They said to themselves, this guy is really cool. He's awesome. He's fun. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I'm thinking of connecting with him because I want to learn more about CRM and sales engagement and how to leverage sales through automation. I want to really be connected with what he's doing and how that can help my business and my own personal growth as a salesperson, or even as a business person in my business or the business I work for someone. Where can our audience find you online?
Yes. So by all means, please go to tryooncourse.com. You can sign up for a demo of the software right there. So love to be able to show as many people the tool as we can. And then here's the funny thing. So you ready for this, Unique?
Yep.
I was able to get the real Gessie with the G, on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter, but I really like saying the real Gessie at Twitter. It makes me feel good. So there's that. I don't post often, and there's nothing to see there, people, but I enjoy saying it.
Awesome. I love your authenticity, your realness. I actually followed you this morning because I was looking for your profiles and stuff as I was preparing for the interview, and I couldn't find your actual name. And then, of course, when your image popped up, and then I saw that your handle was at the real Gessie, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." That's
like he thinks he's handle. A big shot.
Oh goodness! All right, Gessie. Could you share with us now, as we wrap up, one quote or saying that during times of adversity, you'll tend to revert to this quote? It helps you to refocus and maybe re-strategize if you're having a challenge or an obstacle. It's just a little quote that kind of helps you to stay on track.
So I had 2 parents, my mom and my dad. My mom would come in, wake me up for school in the morning. She would turn on the little light next to your bed. Gessie, it's time to wake up. It's trying to get going. My dad, a different approach, came in every morning, turned on the big light, which was very jarring, not a comfortable way to wake up. And then he would say, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Don't waste it. And then he would go out. And so that is the signature quote for me by far.
Okay. I'm sure it's fully ingrained in the deepest part of your long-term memory to never ever forget.
Yes. And if you're a parent, turn on the little light. The big light's very abrasive.
You know, when you said that, I thought of my daughter when I go in her room and I turn on the big light and she's like, Mom. So
it is the worst. The big light's the worst.
I know exactly what you mean. All right. This was an awesome conversation. I'm so happy that we were able to connect. You shared some awesome nuggets, and I really, really appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule to share with our audience all of your successes, the things that you're doing on OnCourse Sales Engagement, your tips on how sales will move forward for the future, and just basically how we can improve customer experience in our personal and professional lives. Thank you, Gessie.
Yannick, thank you so much for having me on. It's been great. Thanks so much.
All right. So until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant.
Thank you for listening to Navigating the Customer Experience. If you'd like to connect with us even more, please feel free to hop onto Facebook and join our private Facebook group, Navigating the Customer Experience Community. And of course, feel free to follow us on Twitter at NavigatingCX. We also have a new book available on Amazon, The ABCs of a Fantastic Customer Experience. It's available in ebook and paperback. So if you want to increase revenue in your organization, build a stronger service culture, and create employees or develop employees who are really mastering service delivery in your business, you need to grab a copy of this book. Until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.